What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video, man. Today we're talking about why working more isn't making you more money, why working harder isn't making you more money. I know that this is something that we hear a lot of time with hustle culture and in business. It's like, if you want to make more money, you have to do more than everybody else. You have to outwork her. You have to take their heart out their chest. I know that's a little dramatic. I'm sorry. But this is a lot of things that they tell you in hustle culture, man, is that you have to do more, right? You have to do more. You have to work more. I'm here to tell you that there's a certain point where working more is doing more harm to you than it is good. And we're going to talk about that, right? And the reason why I know this is because as an entrepreneur, there have been days where I made more money as an entrepreneur in a day than there has been when I made this money in a week at my own 9-to-5 job, right? This is a disclaimer. I still have my 9-to-5 job because why not do both? Until I'm able to be fully sustainable solely off of this thing, I still have to work. I still got bills to pay and stuff like that. But one thing that I've learned is it's all about how you see things. So we're here to challenge your mindset and a couple other things that I want to give you that I think will help you understand how you can make more money without doing as much work. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I talked about, man, is mindset, right? So I'm a candle maker. I've been making candles about 5 or 6 years. And any entrepreneur knows that it's always about how you think, right? In business, if you don't think that you can do it, nobody else thinks that you can do it. You know, a lot of times when you're doing business, you'll have people that'll tell you like, oh man, that's not a good idea. That's not this, that's not that. And it's not even in business, it's in life as well. People will tell you that you can't do things, but you have to believe that you can do it. Or you have to tell yourself that you can do it. This is all mindset, right? One thing that I've kind of challenged myself to do this week is stop telling myself that I have to work harder for more money, but understanding that it's not about working harder for money, but it's about finding things of value that can make more money for you. What do I mean? So when you're talking about working hard for money, we all, most of us work jobs, we work 9 to 5. And we know that, okay, in order for us to make more money, we have to put in a certain number of hours, right? But the hours is capped, right? You can get overtime and different things like that, but the hours are capped in what you can do. And so we take this mindset into life that, okay, if I want to build a business, I have to do more hours. I got to do 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And that's simply not true. Why is it not true? Here's some reasons why. The first thing, like I said, you have to find mindset. The second thing is finding an idea that is of value. So you have to find ideas that's of value. So as a candle maker, I'm creating an idea that people already want. I'm not trying to create something from nothing. I'm not trying to create anything out of thin air. I'm going to a market that already is, that's already being served. So what's the difference between, these thousandaires, these 100,000s, and these millions and billionaires? A lot of people think that it's the fact that they're working harder. But you rarely see these people at work. And it doesn't mean that they're not working, but a lot of times they're behind their scenes and they're doing negotiating. And the people that's doing the work is the people that's working for them. So it's finding an idea. But the second part of that is finding a system that works. The difference between a millionaire, a thousandaire, and a billionaire is not always doing more work. It's the system that they have in place that does more work for them. So when I choose an idea, I choose an idea of value. I choose an idea that, okay, I know that certain industries make more money than other industries. As a candle maker, might be a lucrative business, but it might not be as lucrative as finance, right? It might not be as lucrative as real estate. It might not be as lucrative as, people on Wall Street or different things. Like, you're going into an industry and when you're choosing an idea, you're choosing based off of what that income has, what that income can provide you, right? Selling candles might not be as lucrative as being a TikToker. It might not be as lucrative as being a content creator, right? These people aren't always working 80 hours a week. No, they're being more effective with their time, which is another thing. So you're finding an idea, right? You're kind of putting the idea together. You're finding something of value. You're looking at a market that already exists. You don't have to create nothing from scratch. And you're finding a way to be effective. You're finding something that moves the needle forward first, and then you're finding ways to be effective. So what do I mean by moving the needle forward? As a candle maker, or an entrepreneur, we oftentimes overcomplicate things, right? And here's how we overcomplicate things. Oh man, my website has to be prettier. I need to make better posts on social media. I got to post 18 times a day. I got to edit it this way. It has to sound this way. It has to look this way. And the list goes on. These are not things that move the needle. A thing that moves the needle is I need to make a candle that is good, that people want, and then I need to give it to them. It's really that simple. Like, my candles, they're not always the most, like, my candles, they're nice and they do their job, but it's very simple. This is a label from Office Depot. Like, this is not nothing that's super complicated to do, you know? And so I'm here to challenge your mindset, because you have to think outside the box, right? It is about finding an idea, finding something that's already of value in an area where you can already make money, that you don't have to do a lot of work. People that do real estate, man, they're not always selling. They close on a house, they get a big check. How many houses do you need to get a big check? You just make some saying the hardest part for them is probably building their network. But if you're a person who already has a network, then that's not going to be a hard sell for you. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So another thing you want to do is you want to go kind of where you already have the gift to succeed. You know, as a candle maker, I have people that I know that love candles. So it's not a hard sell for me, because they already want it. I'm creating something that they already want. And that's another thing, is once you have an idea and you have something of value that people want, go to where those people are. People make this very complicated. I made this very complicated for a long time. Where are the people that want candles? On the internet. Where are they at? They're at pop-ups. Where are they at? They're in communities, right? And you have to understand that all dollars are not valued the same, right? So somebody might say, well, Mod, if you figured all this out, then why aren't you rich yet? And that's because it's still a process with these things, right? I'm still building the community. I'm still building the pieces. But I have the foundation. Now I'm adding the layers on top of it. So if you see me in a year or less than that and stuff done took off, you didn't know, okay, he done put 2 and 2 together. But it's about building the foundation and taking the skill to the people that already want it. You know what I mean? If you're a construction worker, you're not going to say, hey, I'm a construction worker, let me go over here to somebody who don't want to live in a house. You know what I'm saying? Or who don't want to, you know, I'm going to go to a company that already need people to build stuff for them. I'm going to go to the government because government contracts are lucrative. I'm going to go to wherever I need to go. Now, the issue is sometimes is now when you're in those places, now it's about, you know, either outselling somebody or bidding somebody, but the work is already done. You know what I'm saying? At that point in time, it's about securing the contract and closing the deal, not about getting to the deal, right? So if I'm able to get to the people, right? Say if I'm going to 20 customers, I might not close all 20. But if I know if I can close 2, or I know I can close 5, that is a better chance than me going to somewhere where it's 50 customers and none of them want what I'm looking for. You have to go to the market that is looking for your skill. So for me, it might be another example of this. For me, when I'm selling candles, it might be, you know, it might be a lower demographic. It might be a higher demographic. There are different type of candles. There are luxury candles and there are regular candles. If I'm a luxury candle brand, I'm not selling it to regular candle makers. Regular candle consumers. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go to where these people are, which means it might be certain neighborhoods, which means they might attend certain events. They might not attend other events. So this applies not just to business. This applies to your life. If you want better relationships, go to where better people are. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, if you want to be around rich friends, you need to go to where rich people are. You need to go to where these people are so that way they're not hanging in certain spots. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm here to challenge your mindset and how you think about these things, right? And I'm saying this because it took me a while to figure this out. But I find like, boop, boop, I've unlocked the keys to the code. You don't always have to work hard to make more money, right? There's a thing I was watching on, I think it was TikTok. I don't know if I talked about this before, but it's a page where a guy talks about the different side hustles that the people have. And one guy was on there and he was talking about how they had like an inflatable, you know, one of them inflatable movie screens, right? And he bought one and he put it on Facebook Marketplace. And who needs inflatable movie screens? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be regular people that need it. It's probably going to be community events that need it. It's probably going to be different sponsors that need it. People that are doing different outdoor events that need it. They're not going to necessarily buy one because they don't need it often. They're going to rent one when they need one, right? And so he went on Facebook Marketplace and you had these different housing communities that reached out to him. You had these different office communities that reached out to him. And he's like, man, I made 10 grand this month off of something that I paid $100, $200 for. And the only thing he has to do is go, set it up for them, turn it on, you know, his gas and stuff. There is no upkeep for him. There is no upcharge for him. You know, does that make sense what I'm saying? So it's finding things, and sometimes you have to do your research with these things. Sometimes you have to get into the weeds and you have to like really you know what I'm saying, do your research and figure out what it is. But he doesn't need to do a lot. You have to find things. You have to find a way that you change. You have to change the way that you see things. It's not always about like, okay, well, I got to build a business and then I got to work 80 hours a week. And then, no, it's not about that. It's about finding the idea where I can work less and make more money. That's what it's about. For me, I make candles. Am I just going to sell candles all day for the rest of my life? No, because there are so many other things that I can do as a candle maker that can make me more money and I don't have to do as much work. If I'm doing a candle class, I can make $1,000 for a candle making class and I don't have to make any candles. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to make any candles. I just have to charge people to do it, whether it's corporate events, whether it's, you know what I'm saying, people playing for their slot to come in. Like, you have to just go to where the people are. But that sometimes is the trick. It's figuring out where the people are, right? And so this is something that I'm kind of trying to talk to you about, is because I think a lot of times we think that we have to work more for more money. We have to work harder. But the hard part is when figuring an idea that's a value. And it's not necessarily a hard part. You have to think differently. Like, you have to undo the thinking that you've been taught, right? Which is go to work more, get more money. That's not how it equates when you're trying to scale things. When you're trying to scale things, you're trying to find things that are of value that people already want, and you find ways to give it to them. You know, I know some people who, you know, work 10 hours, 15 hours on YouTube, 20 hours on YouTube a week, bro. And they making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. How? Because they have something that people want. They have something of value. And so I'm challenging you. This is more so about mindset, man. This is more so I am challenging you to think differently about how you see things. Think differently about how you see the world. This is to encourage you that you don't have to do as much work as you think you do. Right now you do, because you might not have a skill that people want, but you need to find a skill, or you need to pick a skill. There are a lot of them out here. You have to think outside the box. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's just looking at something and like, there are people who I met a guy one time and his family was getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got a lot of money. And you know what their family does? They sell garbage bags. That is what they do. It's a boring business, but people always need to take their trash out. Does it make sense what I'm saying? So it's like, it's finding the idea, is you know, honing the skill, finding something of value, and then it's taking it to the people who want it. Sometimes that takes time. Sometimes you have to do research. Like, if I really thought about this 5 years ago, I might have not gotten into candle making, because candle making, you can make a lot of money, but it kind of has a cap to what most candle makers are making, because they're doing it themselves. You know, but when I get either salesmen or when I get salesmen or machinery, then that can make more candles for me, which means I can make more money. Or when I start doing other things like workshops, content creation, you know what I mean? Like candle making classes. Like, those are things where I just got to provide the supplies and teach you how to make the candles, and you make them yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's like when you go to these hibachi. I don't know if y'all ever been to the hibachi restaurants where you cook your own food. You're paying people to cook your own food. You could have did that at home. But they have sold you the idea like, no, come to us. We have a buffet of all these foods. Pay us $50 and you can cook your own food. I could do that in my house for $50. You know what I'm saying? So there's business out here. There are ideas out here that literally can change the trajectory of your life. But you have to change your mindset. You have to stop looking at, I have to work harder, and find a way to let me work more effective. Let me find things that actually move the needle and that are going to allow me to work less but create longevity for myself. This is what I'm creating. You know what I'm saying? And you will continue to see this, and I challenge you to do the same thing. If you have any questions, I know this has been a longer video, but this has really been on my heart. So I hope that it blesses somebody. But if you have any questions or any thoughts, drop them in the comment, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, peace.